Hi and welcome to this Photoshop quick tip. Today I'm going to look at the dust package you can find at the texture store. The link is below. And even though these images are just simple black and white dust clouds, they do have some really interesting textures in there. There's some nice swirls, there's some nice motion going on. And instead of just using them as smoke, you can also change them to something magical, something like fire, with this simple adjustment layer called color balance. And I'm going to take you right through it. So follow along.
So let's see, how do we get this started? Let's first have a look at the dust package, shall we? The dust pack is quite large. It's about 254 images, actually 245. And as you can see, there's lots of different shapes in there. I'll just zoom in on this one here. From afar it looks like a cloud, but if you look closer, you can actually see that it's made up of all these little particles in different focus areas. So you get these nice sharp dots and these blurry parts in there. I'll just get another one like this one. This one is a bit more stronger. And as you can see, there's lots of different particles here. There's a few swirls going around here. So I was thinking, these dust images, even though they're called dust and you don't usually want to use dust, can be used quite well in some magical compositions, which I frequently make, because they look like clouds, so you can use them as clouds, but they have these weird lines going in there as well, which to me look a bit like kind of like magic or fire. And these tiny particles are always nice to have hanging around, so there's more than just a smoke dusty cloud going on in here. I think you can use them very well for magical purposes. Look like this. This one is beautiful. There's little swirls in there. There's a lot of going on in there. I can see quite some nice effects going on in there. The only problem is, problem, not really. Luckily, all these images are just a black and white. They're white particles on a black backdrop, and as you can see, there's some whites in here, there's some grays in there, there's some blacks in there. So we have three areas on which we can focus. We have the highlights, which are the whites in here, like here. We have some midtones, which is around this area here, and the shadows, which is actually just all the darkness and surrounding it. So we're not really going to focus on the shadows, just the highlights and the midtones. We have some beautiful ones down here. This one is just dust falling onto an object. You can use these as sprays or directional effects as well. And then down here we have dust falling on a table. And this one looks awesome. So you have these particles going down and they're hitting this table here and they're just exploding everywhere. Very useful for compositions, I think. And the list goes on and on. So there are quite a few uses you can have for these dust images. I just made a small selection which makes selecting for myself a bit easier. Here we go. I've got a few here, and I've already prepared an image in Photoshop which I'm going to use for this. I prepared it like this. I have the image of the model right here, so I'm not going to touch that. And I've got this group over here called smoke, which already has a layer mask on top of it. Now this allows me to just put a layer behind it, or actually in there. And if I just start drawing something, I don't know, let me just set something up here. Because of the layer mask in here, if I start drawing it, I can draw behind the model. And I see I have my layer mask inverted. So if I start painting here, let me see if something happens. I should probably paint on a layer. You can see that the magic is happening behind her, which is perfect for my purpose because I want some dust smoke happening down here, maybe a bit in front of her, and a few of these plumes I'm going to put right. Let me just illustrate that with this. Make a new layer here just to illustrate what I'm going to do. There you go. So I'm going to do some smoke over here, some dust over here, some magical colors there, and a few plumes coming over here and going over there. That's the basic premise of what I'm going to make. Let's get rid of that layer. There we go. So let's open up one of the dust images and see how we can manage. Let's go back here. I think I like this one. So this one can be used quite good for a background dust cloud magic thingy. So that's the one we're going to use. Open it up. Select everything, just select the whole image, copy it, close it, don't need it anymore, and in this layer here, just paste it right there. So as you can see, it's pasted, it's quite big. I'm not using a very big photograph for this, so I need to scale it down using Command T. I'm just free transforming it somewhere around here. I think I like it like that. That's okay, looks okay. Put it there. Now this doesn't look like much, but if I set the blending mode from normal to screen, Photoshop will filter out all the dark elements in there and just leave behind all the lighter areas, which looks a bit like this. There you go. As you can see, there's some smoke going on in there, there's some smoke over there, there's a straight line over there which I can get rid of in a minute. I do want to change the background a bit so we can see a little bit more effect. So let me just add a curves adjustment layer in there as well. And I'll just leave it where it is for now. Maybe I'll just pull it out of the group. Oh, it's already out of the group. And just darken background in there. Just a little bit like that. And maybe it's even better if I put it in the group, because then we can use the layer mask which is already in there. Oops. Just drag it there. There you go. That looks a bit better. Just adjust it a little bit more. There you go. That's right for now. So let's get another dust image. I just want to put some more smoke down here. Okay, one of these. Which ones am I going to use? Maybe this one. Yep. Looks okay. And once again, select all, edit, copy, file, close, edit, paste, scale it again, and maybe already set it to screen to see what happens. Maybe turn it around a bit. There you go. Move it down here. Or maybe just put it over there. Okay, that looks okay. If I do need to get rid of a part that's in there, you can just use the eraser tool. Have a flow of about 10 to 20. And just erase parts you don't need. There's something in there. There's a straight line going down here. I need to get rid of that too. Just paint it out. Now, just having smoke on the back isn't really that interesting. We need to have some smoke that's going right in front of her. So let's find another smoke image, dust image to use. Which one? This one looks okay. Yep, I'm gonna use that one. Open it up. Again, select all, edit copy, file close, edit paste, normal to screen, Command T or edit free transform, scale it down again, maybe turn it around, and just leave it there for a minute because I need to drag it out of this group right on top of the layer stack, somewhere over there, because this one needs to be in front of the model and not behind her. So something like this. That looks okay. Just gonna get rid of this piece here. Up my flow a little bit. 36 should do fine. There we go. Now that looks quite good. Just make sure it looks believable as far as this can go. Now, for the real magic. Let me select one of these, like this one. Yep. Again, select all, edit copy, file close, edit paste. And this one can stay right on top of the layer stack because it's not going to be behind the model or in front of it. It's just going to be there. Edit free transform again. And scale it down to something that we can use. This looks okay. Enter to commit. Normal to screen. Now we have our first plume. Now there's a few straight lines here, which, if you can see, isn't really that nice to see. So I'm going to use the eraser tool again to get just rid of a few of these particles flying around, just to make it less straight. There you go. Now maybe just put one more on the other hand. Maybe this one. This one looks nice. Yep. Again, select all or Command A. Edit copy, file close, edit paste, normal to screen, edit free transform, maybe even rotate it already. Oops. I'm holding shift so I can rotate by 45 degrees, which is a little tip. Just scale it first because it's going all over the place. Turn it back, something like this. That looks okay. Yeah. Press enter to commit, and there we have two magic plumes. And they're just white. There's nothing really interesting going on in there at the moment. So I was talking about the color balance. As I said, we have midtones, we have highlights, we have shadows, but we're not going to use the shadows. And there's one adjustment layer which tackles highlights, shadows, and midtones. And that's the color balance adjustment layer. So it's right down here on the right. You go to color balance, somewhere in the middle. And as you can see, let me pull this one out. As you can see, you're given a few options. We've got the tonality, which is standard set at midtones. We have 3 sliders, which go from cyan to red, magenta to green, yellow to blue. And all the sliders are set to 0 in the middle. So these are just your basic settings. If you start pulling one of these, you probably guess what will happen. If I start pulling it more to red, my whole image will turn more red. If I pull it more to cyan, it'll turn more cyan. I'll just leave it at 0. Same goes for magenta and green, as you can see, for yellow, for blue. So it's quite easy to just adjust the whole color of your image. Let me just reset everything. Now, we don't want to change the whole image. I just want to change the one dust image we have in here. So what you can do, you can make a clipping mask out of this adjustment layer. And that you can do that by just pressing this button here. And what it does, as long as it's on top of the dust layer you want to adjust, it'll only affect that layer. You can see this little arrow here, which points out that it's a clipping mask. It's easy if you have a few of them. And now, if you start pulling one of these sliders, if I start pulling red, you can see that the whole dust cloud turns red. And I'll just pull it out all the way to this one, this side. And if I want to add some more red into the midtones, I can just go a bit more into the magenta. And maybe add some yellow in there as well. I'll turn it nice and red. Now this is kind of boring, it's just reddish. But if I switch to highlights, which will only affect the highlights in this image, and I start pulling into yellow, what you'll see is that there's more kind of like fire, hello kitty, happening, and just in the highlights. And if you pull one of the sliders more open, you see what happens and where the area is affected. And if you go into shadows, and I do caution by using the shadows, because if you use it too much, you might end up getting some more of the background noise in there. But you can even pull more saturation in there by just going into the shadows. There you have it. Fire. Now let's repeat that with the other one. So I've got this plume here on the right, or her left hand. Add another color balance adjustment layer, put it in there. And if I start pulling that one, everything turns purple, of course, because I didn't make a clipping mask. So make a clipping mask out of it just by pushing this button here, which just says this adjustment affects all layers below. And if you push it, it'll say this adjustment clips to the layer below it. So there you have it. That makes sense. Well, instead of fire, let's make some blue magic or green magic. Blue would be fine. Blue is also awesome. Blue, purple, that's magic for you. I'm just gonna pull in more bluish tones, just a bit more magenta, or maybe some green. Nah, leave it at magenta. And that's for the midtones. For the highlights, I'm going for a stronger blue, more cyan, and maybe even pull up a bit in the shadows. No, that's too strong. Kind of like it. That's okay. So there we have the other plume. Simple and easy. And you can just repeat that for all the different layers you have, like this one, go to color balance, make a clipping mask, pull everything to green. There you go. And there's Kitty. Hey Kitty, say hi. Or don't say hi. And there's just 2 more I need to do. I'll go back to the second dust layer, add color balance, make a clipping mask out of it. And you can use the properties panel to make a clipping mask out of it, but you can also go into your layers panel and just pull that one out here. There we go. You can right click on the name color balance and you can just say create clipping mask. And if you want to release it, you can right click and say release clipping mask. So that's a different way of making a clipping mask as well. And I'll show you another one in a minute. Let me just put this one on the side here. I'm making a mess of my Photoshop at the moment. So I need some more greens for this one. So pull out the greens. Which one is that? That's that one. Maybe some yellow in there. Go into the shadows, add some more green. There we go. And the last one, is there a last one? There it is. There's this one. Adjustment layer, color balance again. Make it green. The clipping mask again. So I told you you can go from the properties panel, make a clipping mask. You can go right click on the layer, create clipping mask, or you can press Alt if you're on a Mac. I think it's Alt on a PC as well. You can press Alt, move your mouse right between the 2 layers. And you can see the icon changing from whatever tool you're having to the clipping mask. And if you click then, it'll turn into a clipping mask. Press Alt again, move your mouse again, it'll release the clipping mask. So there's 3 options to make a clipping mask. And there you have it. So that's a powerful way of just using your color balance and the dust package to create awesome effects for whatever image you're making. You can create fire, you can create magic, you can create anything that can use smoke, which is quite a lot. I hope you enjoy this. I just want to leave you with one last thing. I showed you the color balance. You can use curves if you want to in the same manner. You can use gradient maps in the same manner. As long as the image is just a black and white, has midtones, has highlights, you can play around with it. I thought color balance was quite effective for this. But if you feel free to experiment with either curves or gradient maps or whatever, and have fun with it. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.